From the outside, Lena and Miu looked like every other rising duo in the industry. Polished, talented, beautiful, and charismatic. But anyone who followed them closely knew there was something different about these two. You could feel it in the way they carried themselves, in the subtle glances during interviews, in the comfortable silences during behind-the-scenes footage, and in the almost magnetic pull between them whenever they were on stage together. Their journey didn't start with fireworks or a dramatic first encounter. It started slowly, quietly, almost like a story that had been waiting years to be written. When Lena first walked into the audition room for a small web series 3 years ago, she had no idea her entire life was about to shift. She was nervous, clenching her fingers backstage, repeating her lines in her head over and over again. The director was famously strict, and the room was intimidating. But then she saw another girl sitting calmly in the corner, legs crossed, eyes closed as if meditating, the script resting on her knee. That was Miu. She opened her eyes at the exact moment Lena looked at her, and instead of the usual competition, she smiled gently, an unspoken "you'll be fine." Later, Lena would admit that that moment alone was enough to steady her. That smile stayed with her through the entire audition, and even after she booked the role, she couldn't forget it. What she didn't know was that Miu had noticed her the second she walked in, her nervous energy, her shaking hands, and the fire in her eyes. She thought Lena was someone she wanted to understand, someone she wanted to get to know beyond the walls of an audition room. Their first scenes together weren't even dramatic. They were simple. A quiet dinner conversation. A walk under city lights. Two strangers slowly warming up to each other. But something happened behind the scenes. Lena found herself laughing more around Miu. Miu found herself staying longer after shoots, chatting with Lena about everything from childhood dreams to fears she never admitted publicly. They began to lean on each other naturally, Lena for confidence, Miu for emotional grounding. Their chemistry became undeniable. Fans noticed it immediately. In one behind-the-scenes clip, Miu was teaching Lena how to tie a scarf for a winter scene. Lena kept fumbling, embarrassed, and Miu leaned closer, her voice soft, her fingers brushing the fabric near Lena's hands. The clip lasted 7 seconds. But those 7 seconds nearly broke social media. People replayed it thousands of times, dissecting the eye contact, the soft laughter, the warmth between them that didn't feel like acting at all. But that was only the beginning. After the series aired, their partnership exploded. Brands requested them as a pair. Photographers begged to shoot them together. Interviewers kept commenting on their natural chemistry and the way they complemented each other like two pieces of the same puzzle. Lena was bright, expressive, playful. Miu was composed, elegant, calm. Together, they created a balance that people couldn't take their eyes off of. They started spending more time together outside of work. Late-night dinners after long shoots. Quiet visits to art exhibits. Long walks with bubble tea in hand. It didn't take long for staff members to notice that they always arrived together and always left together. One makeup artist whispered that they behaved like people who communicated without speaking. One assistant director said you could feel the room soften when they were side by side. But the moment everything changed, the moment the world realized they were more than just colleagues, happened during an award show. They were presenting an award together, and Lena, nervous as always, was fidgeting with her microphone. Miu noticed instantly. During the countdown before they walked on stage, she reached over and held Lena's hand, squeezing it gently. Lena looked up, eyes wide, and Miu whispered, "You're not alone." Cameras weren't supposed to be recording at that moment, but one backstage camera captured the entire thing. In the clip, you could see Lena's shoulders relax instantly. You could see Miu's thumb brushing the back of Lena's hand. And you could see the moment Lena mouthed thank you with a smile that was too genuine to fake. The clip went viral within hours. Thousands of fans began calling them the soul-level duo, two people connected not by coincidence, but by fate. But the real turning point happened months later, during a late-night live stream. The fans asked them what made their partnership different. Lena hesitated, looking toward Miu as if waiting for permission to speak. Miu met her gaze and nodded softly. That was when Lena admitted something she had never said before on camera. She said Miu was the first person in the industry who made her feel seen, not as a rising actress, not as a personality, but as a person. The room fell silent for a moment. And then Miu said something even more unexpected. She said Lena was the first person she ever trusted enough to share her fears with. She said Lena brought color back into her routine. She said Lena reminded her how to dream. The internet exploded. Theories, interpretations, edits, compilations, everything flooded every social platform. But what mattered most was that neither Lena nor Miu tried to deny anything. They simply continued being themselves, continued smiling at each other the way they always did, continued checking on each other during shoots, continued being each other's safe place. Their latest project, a documentary-style series about their creative process, became the clearest proof that something deeper tied them together. There's a scene where Lena falls asleep on a couch between takes, exhausted. Miu quietly walks over, places her own jacket over Lena's shoulders, and sits beside her, guarding her from the cold draft. She keeps watching the door, almost protectively, as if shielding her from the chaos of the room. Another camera angle shows Miu gently brushing Lena's hair away from her face before anyone else even notices she's asleep. People called it quiet love. Whether it was romantic, soul-bonded, or something entirely different didn't matter, because it was real. You could feel the authenticity in every moment they shared, every glance, every smile that lingered just a second too long. Today, Lena and Miu are considered one of the most magnetic duos the industry has ever seen. Not because they forced a narrative or fed rumors, but because their connection became impossible to ignore. They proved that the strongest partnerships are the ones that grow naturally, slowly, and truthfully. They showed the world that two people, when matched in heart, ambition, and spirit, can become something unforgettable, something people feel, even through a screen. From strangers to partners in a way no one can fully define. And that's exactly why people can't stop watching their story unfold. Lena and Miu thought they had reached the highest point of their partnership when they completed their first massive project together, but life had other plans for them, plans that would take their bond to places neither of them saw coming. After the whirlwind of media attention, endorsements, interviews, and social buzz, the world expected them to slow down. But instead, something shifted between them, quietly, privately, and unmistakably. They started spending more time together away from the cameras. Lena, who was always reserved, began sharing little parts of herself that she normally kept locked away. Moments from her childhood, fears she had overcome, dreams she still hadn't dared to chase. And with every confession, Miu listened deeply, never interrupting, never judging. Lena wasn't used to someone hearing her without turning her words into headlines. Miu, on the other hand, found herself opening up in ways that even shocked her friends. She told Lena things she had only written in private journals. She admitted how scared she used to be, scared of failing, of disappointing people, of never being enough. Lena didn't respond with pity. Instead, she said words Miu never forgot. You were always enough. You just needed someone who saw you the way you are. Those words became a turning point. One evening, after a long day of filming, the two of them escaped to a rooftop overlooking the city. The sky was a deep velvet blue, and the lights below sparkled like a field of stars. They didn't talk at first. They just sat beside each other, breathing in the same quiet night air. Miu leaned back, her shoulders dropping with exhaustion. Lena noticed immediately and placed a jacket gently around her. It was a small gesture, one no one else saw, but Miu felt something melt inside her. They spent hours up there, talking about everything and nothing. Lena confessed how she felt most alive when she worked with Miu. She said Miu pushed her to step out of her comfort zone, to express emotions she usually hid. Miu laughed softly and said Lena grounded her, made her feel safe in a world that consumed people like her whole. Every day after that, something subtle changed. Their glances lingered a bit longer. Their jokes became private, little things only they understood. Their energy on set became so synchronized that directors stopped giving them detailed instructions. They didn't need them. All they needed was each other's presence. Rumors started circulating, of course. The internet began compiling edits of their undeniable chemistry. Fans pointed out how Lena's eyes always softened around Miu, how Miu's smile grew whenever Lena entered the room. But the two never addressed anything. They just kept moving forward, together. The real shift happened during a late-night script rehearsal. Lena stumbled on a line, something she never did. The moment she froze, Miu stepped closer, her voice gentle. She guided Lena through the dialogue softly, not as a co-star helping another, but as someone who saw through her walls entirely. Lena's breath hitched, not because of the line, but because of the way Miu was looking at her. Like she mattered. Like she wasn't alone. Lena excused herself after the rehearsal, saying she needed air. Miu followed her outside. The night was cold, and Lena's hands trembled slightly, not from the weather, but from something she couldn't name. Miu asked what was wrong. Lena tried to brush it off, but her voice cracked. She admitted she was scared, of feeling too much, of being vulnerable, of losing something she didn't want to lose. Miu stepped closer, her voice low but steady. She told Lena she didn't have to be afraid. Whatever they were building it together. Lena didn't answer immediately, but the look in her eyes said everything. From that night on, their bond grew even deeper. They started arriving earlier to set just so they could rehearse alone. They shared playlists, late-night snacks, voice notes, and small confessions after midnight. Lena would glance at her phone and smile in ways her staff had never seen. Miu's friends started teasing her about how her mood changed every time Lena's name was mentioned. Then came the moment that sealed everything. The two were invited to a high-profile industry event. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and the entire hall seemed to revolve around them. But Lena only looked at Miu. And Miu only looked at Lena. During a break backstage, Miu reached out and fixed a loose strand of hair behind Lena's ear. Lena froze, not from shock, but from realization. And before she could stop herself, she whispered something so quiet Miu almost didn't catch it. "You make everything feel lighter." Miu stared at her, eyes softening with a tenderness that made Lena's heart race. She replied with a whisper of her own. "And you make everything feel right." It wasn't a confession. It wasn't a declaration. But it was the kind of moment that changes people. From that night, nothing was the same. Fans sensed it. The media sensed it. Even their closest friends sensed it. And though they still hadn't defined anything out loud, the connection between Lena and Miu had become something undeniable, something that felt bigger than fate, bigger than fame, bigger than anything either of them expected. They were no longer just partners, no longer just co-stars, no longer just a successful duo. They had become each other's anchor, each other's spark, each other's safe place. And as their journey continued, one thing became clear. Whatever story the world thought they were watching, the real story, the one that mattered, was happening quietly between them. A story built on trust, understanding, and a connection so deep it felt written long before they ever met. Their future wasn't just bright. It was inevitable.